Hey guys, I'm here with Rene, and we are here to chat about his awesome journey from having two hip replacements to a half marathon. Super interesting. And yeah, I just want to introduce him. He's from Holland, and we met through a mutual friend. So excited to chat with him today. How are you, Rene?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you. How about yourself?
I'm going well. It's like, what, 9 a.m. there?
10.
Yeah,
It's
10.
10.
So 10 a.m. your time, 8 p.m. my time. I love the time differences, being able to chat with people from all over the world. How's your week been so
Last week.
far?
Well, yeah. Oh, so far, well, this week just started. It will be awesome because after 8 months, I finally can get back to work. I haven't had a
That's
job for eight
great.
months.
Wow.
And on Wednesday, my training will start. So looking forward to that.
What type of job is it?
Customer support at fitness at the gym.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I get to work with people and help people. And that's something that I enjoy.
I love that. That's
So yeah,
awesome.
really looking forward to that new journey.
Yeah. Well, so you are based in Holland. Am I
Hmm.
correct? Where in Holland
Correct.
are you based?
I live on the border of Amsterdam. I
Okay,
could
cool.
walk to Amsterdam.
Okay. I've never actually been to Amsterdam, but I'd love to go. I've heard Holland is beautiful.
Yeah, well, it's for me. It's home. I know every foreigner wants to come to the Netherlands. It's because it's flat and the windmills, and but to me, it's just home. I like it here. I do love it, but I like the warmer climates.
Yeah. Well, I do as well, which is why I live in Sydney. So I'm sure everyone has seen the photos of like the beaches and stuff on my Instagram.
They're beautiful.
Well, and speaking of that, basically for me, this week summer started because I had finished my uni last week and it's officially like I'm on break for the next 3.5 months and it's the weather warmed up. We had like 35 degrees Celsius weather here, which is a little bit too hot.
Oh,
But
yeah.
it's been sunny. It's been like in the 25 range in Celsius and around like 75 in Fahrenheit. So it's been really good. Um, it's just I just do feel bad for my northern hemisphere friends, but you guys
Yeah,
just came
we just
out of
finished
summer.
summer and we're in autumn.
Yeah.
We're, we're back in autumn, and I like the sun more, and I'm looking forward to spring already.
Yeah, it happens, especially with the pandemic and not
Yeah.
being able to go out as much in bars and restaurants and get out in that way. I have to ask. This is something I ask everyone that comes on the podcast. What is your pet peeve?
A pet peeve. Well, I do hate it when someone isn't honest with me. Like
Mm,
I had an instance with a colleague a while ago. He said he would help me with, he couldn't help me with a chore, and so I said, well, okay, for this time I'll do it by myself. And when I got done with the chore, I saw him smoking, and I was like, that's not nice to your colleagues.
yeah, so like saying you'll do something or yeah, and not doing it or yeah, I guess
Just getting out of something. I hate it. We gotta help
yeah,
each other,
yeah, and it shows
not leave
a little maybe yeah, having that integrity to be honest.
yeah, and then not leave people
Important.
hanging just because
Yeah.
you want to have a smoke.
Yeah. I feel that. It's a very legitimate pet peeve. Let's get straight into it because your story is so interesting. You have a condition called ankylosing spondylitis.
Correct.
We've chatted with Jess, who's come on the podcast before. She has a similar condition. That's how we met. And essentially, for our listeners, it's chronic inflammatory condition that causes pain and actually the fusing of the joints together. Am I correct?
You're very correct.
Yeah. So essentially, it can be quite debilitating. And one of the reasons, I guess the main reason why I wanted to get you on the podcast is to chat about what that has looked like in your life, but also it's really quite inspiring kind of your journey in the community because you had 2 hip replacements and then ran a half marathon, and I would love to hear more and for us to get way more into that. What was it like going from 0 to where you are now, where you were when you ran the half marathon?
In my journey, there are multiple stages. Um, which stage do you want to hear first? Like this year, just trying to run for the first time, or when
Right
I
there.
got my replacements. So in March, I lost my job. My contract didn't get renewed due to COVID, and bars and coffee corner need to be closed. Back then, I was still a pastry chef, so there was too many colleagues with free time, and there was time. Well, the people without a steady contract, normal contract, they can leave, so I could leave. Start of COVID, I was at home, uh, couldn't go out. I was stuck, and I thought, what do I need? What can I do? Gyms are closed. I already done sports a lot, and I started chatting with myself. Hey, what can I do to keep me mentally going?
Yeah.
Uh, and I got a gut feeling. Why don't you try and run? And that was a weird gut feeling because normally I trust the gut. Well, I did trust the gut, but it's like I haven't been able to run for 20 years.
Yeah, that's crazy having
Yeah,
that sort of a gut feeling, especially when you have a chronic illness, because it's like, do I listen or do I not? Is it gonna make it better? Is it gonna make it worse? Sort of
yeah.
thing.
It's well, normally you think it make it worse. I have hip replacements that can get damaged. The fusing of the spine with me is well pretty progressed. The lower part is already fused to my hip joints of a hip bone.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, but I haven't been able to run for that long. And the gut feeling, well, try it. Okay, I put on my sneakers and I started to jog a little. First stint was 2 kilometers. And I thought, well, if I could run around this block, I'll be able to run 4 kilometers. That would be a good goal somewhere in the next 2 weeks to be able to run the distance in one go.
Yeah.
And that was in the morning, and in the afternoon it was like 5 o'clock, and I started thinking again. Okay, well, it's too early to make dinner yet. What can I do? Same gut feeling. Well, why don't you try and
Wow.
run again? Uh, okay, put on my sneakers, and I ran that 4 kilometers in one go.
Your second time running in 20 years.
Yeah, in one day, the same day.
In one day. Wow.
But I have
And were
to
you
be
in
honest.
pain?
Mm, hmm, mm, I was fine, like like I said, the normal pain amount.
Yeah, exactly. I guess that's a rhetorical question almost.
No, but um, no, I wasn't in extra pain, and maybe it's also the being ecstatic, like I can run.
Yeah.
And I've done sports before. I've gone to the gym, and I know my stamina was all right because I could stand on the cross trainer for 2 hours.
Okay.
I worked on my stamina already, but like running, that was something different. But I enjoyed it. I got to get out. Don't the park is pretty nearby for me, so that's fortunate. I don't live in the middle of the city.
Yeah.
So it's like 5 to 10 minute walk, and then I'm in the park. So that's okay. I'm, I'm gonna run daily, and every morning I started running until 2 weeks later I ran like yeah 12 kilometers, and that
Wow.
was the moment. Like, okay, from 0 to 12 kilometers in 2 weeks. I'm gonna go online and check when a half marathon will be. Because
Yeah.
that's another gut feeling. Well, go check half marathon, and I kept running, and that was still in April. And in June, another gut feeling came on. Well, start an Instagram account, tell your story. There's probably someone who can get inspired by it.
Yeah, totally.
And, and not only me inspiring people, but just being part of the community.
Yeah.
I get I get to learn so much about my own disease and about myself, and I get to help others, and others get to help me. It's beautiful what's happening due to
Yeah.
COVID. Everybody's stuck inside, but everybody's looking for, yeah, an outlet, and finds it through
For
Instagram.
for connection, essentially. Yeah, and we've
Yeah.
definitely talked about this before on the podcast, this whole idea of this community coming together, and that's essentially how I met you, is because
Mhm.
I started an Instagram and you started an Instagram and Jess started an Instagram, and we're all just kind of connecting with each other, inspiring each other.
Yeah.
I think that's crazy. If I'm honest, like what you did, because I do experience chronic pain, and to have lived with that for 20 years and then to one day say, and telling your
Mhm.
brain that you can't do something, or telling yourself you can't do something, and then to switch, that is crazy to me, because I think it's that consistent question between how much of this is overcomable if I change my mindset, and how much of this is actually my condition. I don't know if you do you feel that there's like that tension between those two things, I
Um,
find.
well, it's not that I started running immediately. I've been on forums to check other people's experiences with hip replacements and running. Well, if you're looking for something bad, you'll find something bad. I was looking for something good, and I
Yeah.
found this one person who had one hip replacement, just like me. Total, well, I have two, but the whole hip replacement, and he still ran marathons. And by
Wow.
the time his hip needed to be replaced, were hardly any scratches on the joint. So okay, that was one positive note that I needed to hear, and I started running. Well, more.
So, do you think that it was almost a blessing, the whole hip replacement thing, because it led you to a place where you felt like, or you kind of did research and realized that you could actually potentially run?
Well, it's like, as strange as it may sound, right now I'm almost, well, at the place that I start to see my whole disease as a blessing. I have to
Yeah.
have been there to come here. I have to have been down in the dumps to crawl out of it and to rise to my own highest potential.
Yeah.
And well, at first it was for my own, to see what I can do, but to be able to inspire others as well. That's beautiful. But it wasn't
Yeah.
me checking on hip replacements or what other people can do. It was like checking what's possible for me with being within the safety lines. Like speed skating is something I enjoyed when I was 16, 17, 18, but yeah, something I probably would never do, because if I would fall on the ice, hip joint dislocating is some
Yeah.
sensation I, yeah, wouldn't want to check how it feels.
Yeah.
So that's too dangerous. But I can run apparently. But it's like for 20 years I couldn't run, and I have had chronic pain for 27 years. For the last 27 years, I haven't had one day off.
Yeah.
Pain is always there. Started on my 12th, and right now I'm 39.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy. And I just find, I guess, again, going back to kind of what I was saying earlier, what we were saying earlier, is that tension between mindset and body. I think it's so personal. Like you wouldn't necessarily go tell anyone with ankylosing spondylitis, go run. go for it. Like, cuz everyone's journey is so different. But if you can say I did this, but maybe you can do this, and if you believe you can do it, then maybe you actually can do it. And whatever that looks like in the confines within the limitations of your own illness.
But I've been studying like the mindset. Uh, Became accustomed to remembering quotes because it's easier to remember a quote than a whole book. And the first quote that I have close to my heart is by Henry Ford. Uh, Whether you think you can or you can't, you are right.
Yeah.
And I thought I couldn't run for that long, for 20 years. Well, there were periods that I literally couldn't run, and 2 years of them I couldn't walk at all. And the other quote that is, be careful how you're talking to yourself because you
Yeah.
are listening.
Yep.
And basically, if you don't program your own mind, society and life will do it for you. Get into positive programming
Yeah, okay,
and
so
saying to yourself you can. And even if it's the first 20 times you can't believe you can do something, well, maybe it will hit the 21st time.
so here's my question though, because I am sort of in the same camp as you, but then there's also again that tension between we can say all of the positive things to ourselves that we want. But
Mm.
at the end of the day, our condition is still there or the pain is still there. You know what I mean? So how it's a, so then there's also I've noticed kind of the stream in the community that veers towards like one person will say, be positive and make you feel better. And then the next person will say, well, positivity isn't going to cure me, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't know. I'm keen to hear your thoughts around that.
My thoughts: one healthy meal won't give you the healthy body. Uh, One visit to the gym won't give you the muscles. One positive thought won't change your whole mindset, but
Yeah.
it's making it a habit. It's the repetition. Keep going to the gym 2, 3 times a week, and you'll get the muscles. Keep eating healthy, and you'll have more energy and more healthy body. And take care of your mental diet, and it
Yeah.
also will change. It's the habit. It's like if you watch the news 3 times a day, especially now during COVID, it won't be that positive, and you will see the differences in your own life. Like, don't trust to go outside. You'll be more fearful. You'll stay
Yeah.
inside, and your whole world will get smaller. So yeah, I know what's happening in the world, but I tend to be careful how much news I let in, because the
Yeah.
most important thing in my life is me,
Yeah.
my
Which is
own mental
good.
health.
Yeah, I think that's really good. And it sounds like as well, you had explained earlier that you lost your job, which actually led to you having more time. So then you were able to actually sounds like maybe focus on your health more, focus on
Mhm.
your body, which was awesome. And so, in terms of going back to like this whole half marathon thing, what was that like for you to achieve that?
Well, there are still are moments that I have to look at my medal and see, oh damn, I really did it. But I've been working towards it for like half a year, and then to finally reach it in only half a year and at a pretty decent time, I was pretty proud of it.
That's
But
awesome.
I also it's also thankfully to the community that the feedback that I got back, that I realized that I did truly something truly special,
Yeah.
because well, I experience myself daily, and when you're working towards something like for like half a year, you don't really see the progression you make. You
Yep.
realize it, but like in March, if you would say, Rene, in half a year you will run a half marathon, I would laugh.
Yeah, totally.
And now it's like, yeah, last month I did run a half marathon. Well, okay.
You're like,
What's
okay,
next?
now it's time to run a marathon.
Now it's like, yeah, of course I did that. Why is it so special? To me, it's
Yeah.
not special anymore. It became part of
Yeah.
my life. Running became part of my life.
Yeah.
And I know it's a pretty long distance because when I do 5 kilometers, it's like half an hour, and like, oh my god, 21 kilometers, like 13.1 miles. That's pretty far.
Yeah. That's really good. I guess what do you think the next step for you is then on your journey?
Keep running, keep trying to inspire people, and of course, I will do a whole marathon somewhere in the future. Um, like the running bug has got me. Uh, I got the marathon from London right now on my bucket list. I love
Yeah.
Valencia in Spain, beautiful city. That marathon would like to run also somewhere in the future, but it's like also when right now we're still in COVID. Autumn is here, winter will be coming. I'm still human. I'm not a machine. When it's raining and it's cold, I prefer the gym than running outside.
Yeah.
But like next spring, I will start running more and more again. And who knows? I don't have a timestamp on when I will be running a whole marathon next year.
So,
October, I will, when everything, if everything is back to normal by then, the half marathon of Amsterdam will be official instead of virtual like last time. So I'll join that probably.
yeah.
But
So when you are when you're running and do you have you gotten like have had days where you tried to run and you were in too much pain or
oh yeah, many times I'm still a spoonie. I still have chronic disease. And I had multiple times that body is always in pain, and you recognize a pain sensation. It's okay. Is this pain sensation telling me to stop running, or can I go on? Is it just a bit of stretching? But I had multiple times that I thought, well, yeah, I can run through this pain, and then being a couple of kilometers from home, and oh, nope, I'm done. And then
yeah,
walking back home and being glad that I finally reached home because I was in, well, too much pain to walk.
yeah,
And I still, like 2 weeks ago, was a pretty horrible week for me. I was completely stuck and in pain. I don't have much neck movement in my spine, but that week there was hardly any movement. And in those moments, I, I ran a marathon. How can this body run a half marathon?
yeah.
But then I'm also when my body's good and I'm running such a distance, I can't realize that I still have moments that I can hardly move at all.
It's such a crazy thing as a spoonie. I think just having those moments where you can physically achieve certain things like sometimes and then other times like you can't I and it
And
and
understand that.
sometimes you don't know why. I mean, a lot of times when I flare up, I usually know why because I've been in pain for so long. I usually know what triggers it. But
Mhm.
I think it's you make a good point in the sense of knowing the pain that is like you shouldn't do this and then knowing the pain that's like you can probably actually make the pain go away through exercise or and it's that balance and I think it's something that in my recovery journey from CFS, I've had to learn the balance of knowing which pain and which fatigue and which pain I can push through and which
Mhm.
fatigue and which pain is like, no, you need to stop sort of thing. And um, I'm even kind of at the point in my journey where I've been seeing a physio and working out quite a bit more, I do a lot of Pilates. And I've gotten to the point where I can do these pretty intense Pilates workouts on some days, but some days I need to not do that because it's not I'm probably going to injure myself. I don't have the energy. I think and I think that's actually somewhat normal for people to have days, like even normal people to have days where they're,
Everybody with ups and downs.
yeah, exactly. But I guess my point is this idea of knowing your body and
You get to
being in
learn a
tune.
lot about your own body having a chronic disease.
Yeah, exactly.
Forced to learn a lot.
It sounds like you've done a lot of that because obviously it sounds like your journey wasn't like couch to 5K and,
This
you
went
know,
over roses. It wasn't easy.
yeah, I
So
definitely.
it's
And
like
I think also acknowledging, yeah, you went from March to zero running to 6 months later running a half marathon. But what was the journey like getting there?
before.
Yeah,
That's also a whole lot of body shift, mind shift, diet shift, everything
yeah,
shifting. Like when I was 12, my disease started with the inflammation in the lower back, a lot of pain. Um, Back then, I think it took 2 to 3 years before they finally could give me a diagnosis, like you have ankylosing spondylitis. Back
wow,
then, yeah, I had a lot of pain, but I still thought I could live normally until I was the summer I turned 18. It was clear that my disease took the better of me. I had to quit the job, quit school for the job I was learning. I wanted to be a pastry chef, and I wanted to be a volunteer fireman.
yeah,
And I had to quit both studies because of my disease. And I started working in the supermarket. I already worked in the supermarket, and it was like, yeah, okay, what now? Don't know what schooling to do. My whole life just turned upside down, and you can't figure out a whole new life in a matter of 2 to 3 weeks. I had the time before the new school year started. So it was like, well, why don't you already work in the supermarket, work for a year and think it over? But in the supermarket, they offered me schooling, and when you're 18 years old and you get a monthly salary, it's like, oh, way better than
yeah,
school. So I stayed at work. I kept working. 26, two of my hips. Well, got to the point of no return, too much deteriorated. I received 2 prosthetics that summer. The summer I turned 31. One of my hip replacements got infected, needed to be replaced.
wow,
I got a pretty large abscess, and they had to remove the right prosthetic, and I had to live without the hip joint for 3 months. I had to be completely infection free before they could place
yeah,
a new joint. But a half year after that, I was able to walk 22-kilometer mountain walk in Spain. So
wow.
then just keep going, keep going.
Sounds
I
like,
already,
I
already
mean,
left it.
when I hear you just to share your story, it just sounds like you're a fighter. I don't know. For me, if I had two hip replacements, I mean, I don't know if I'd ever want to walk again. I don't know, like, that's so. I mean, I have an ankle injury that I'm dealing with, and that's not easy. And rehab and the flare ups, and I haven't been able to walk properly for nearly a year. And I'm seeing doing all the right things, right, to to get over it. But
Mhm.
man, it takes such a fight. And honestly, everyone that I've spoken with in this community, especially that's come on the pod, like so many people in this community, they're fighters, and we're all fighting this silent battle. And I feel so privileged to be a part of this community. Like what you were saying, it's almost like a blessing. And I know
Yeah,
that's a controversial idea, is like, oh, our illness is a blessing. Some people are like, don't tell me my illness is a blessing, which
no, but it's like if you would tell me like a couple of years ago, yeah, there will come a time when you see your own disease as a blessing, I would probably flip my finger at you.
yeah,
But right now, I found my own health back. Mentally, I'm in a state that I've never been. This mentally this strong. Still got to learn though. I'm not yet where I want
yeah,
to be, but I'm also not where I used to be. and I get to help other people. It's like there's another Spoonie in the community, uh, awesome guy, friend of mine, became friends, SMS, and he can't walk. Well,
Yeah.
that's what he told himself. And 6 weeks ago, he shared the story. I'm walking again. I'm walking
Wow.
again.
Yeah.
And a couple of
That's
weeks later,
crazy.
I'm running. I don't know where I am going. I don't know why, but I'm running again.
Wow.
So and
That's
for someone who
amazing.
that's how we get to help each other, and he will inspire others. It's a domino effect.
Yeah. That's why I love this community.
Others will see his story that he couldn't run or walk at all, and see what he's doing, and let's keep like, let's keep the community
And
going.
you make such a good point as well, because when I got diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome, this was 4 years ago. That there was 5 years ago actually. There was like very little information on the internet at the time. There's a lot more now. And all I read was you can't recover. It's a lifetime disease, et cetera, et cetera. And then I went onto but I read the recovery rate was 5%. And then I went and found this super obscure podcast with like this dodgy website and listened to these podcasts about people's recovery journey from chronic fatigue syndrome. And I held on to that. I held on to it because that was the only thing that I heard or read that was like, yes, this is possible. And so I just decided, I made a decision in that moment that I was going to be one of the 5%. And I think that there's power in that. I'm not saying it works
Mhm.
for everyone. But and again, it's that tension between what's mindset and what's not, because I did have people like, I come from a religious background, so you even get like church people coming and saying, oh, you just need to pray, or you just need to, like ask for healing
Affirmation.
from. Yeah, and they obviously mean well, but there's no formula. There's actually no formula. Everybody's journey is different.
What works for you? Like, to me, like prayer, affirmations, doesn't matter what you call it or how you go through it. But for me, it works. Only I don't, dear God, I don't go like that. But I do have my affirmations,
Yeah.
and it's like in the morning, just a couple of things to be grateful for, and it shift your mind through a positive state through the rest of the day. Positivity way more than the negativity. I've seen the negativity. I've seen how dark it can be at the bottom of the well. I don't want to go that back there.
Yeah, exactly. I love this conversation. On that note of mindsets and all of that, do you have any recommendations for the community around that, or any other recommendations like what you're reading, what you're listening to at the moment?
A big part of my journey is The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. Probably a lot of people in the community on the world know it already. The book or the movie is on Netflix, and that helped me to get me to a more positive
Sorry, what
mindset.
is it? I didn't catch that.
The Secret.
The Secret. Is that a Netflix series or
It's
show?
on the documentary,
Okay.
one documentary, and it's a book.
Okay.
But it's basically like what it tells you the energy that you send out, you will get back
Okay.
from the universe. And back then, I was only mostly sending negative energy out. I'm in pain.
Yeah.
My life sucks. What will I achieve in life? That was the energy that I was carrying, and I needed that to change. So I watched The Secret a couple of times. Read a book by Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, also about the mindset, and another book, The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles. Both books are like written in, well, one was written in 1910, the other one was published like in 1930. all books, but all talking about like the mindset. And well, if you can say you can or you can't, you're right. Go for it anyway.
Yeah.
Don't look at the top of the stairwell. Just take one step at a time, and you will get to your goal. One It's another podcast, one narration that I love to listen to is by Earl Nightingale, The Strangest Secret, also to be found on YouTube. It's like 30 minutes, and it's like make your wish, write it down, or make a vision board and get your destination printed in your subconscious.
Yeah.
That's what I lacked, was direction. For me, it was just getting up, go to work, getting home, and sit in the chair because I was in too much pain to do anything.
Yeah.
That was my life for a lot of years, and there was no direction. So I had to planted a new destination. Well, that's where I want to go with my life. I want to inspire people. I want a more healthy body. I want a better job. There were a couple of wishes I put on the vision board. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm going to focus on that, and that will be the direction of my life. And which way I will get there, I don't know, but I have the faith that I will get there.
Yeah.
And
I
like,
love that.
it was not like I put a half marathon on the vision board because, well, when I made my vision board, I still wasn't thinking about, yeah, I can run, but I wanted a healthier body. I'm I'm a lot more healthy right now.
That's so
My
good.
vision board, when my healing journey started 3 years ago. When I started in also a diet, um, eating more healthy. It was before then. It was just too easy to have a takeout meal or put something in the microwave because standing in the kitchen for too long was just too painful.
Yeah.
I had to go through that pain also,
Yeah.
and just to take care of my own body more. And then 2 years ago, well, 3 years ago, the body. 2 years ago, I started the whole mind shift journey. Just, yeah,
Yeah.
rewriting my own program, brainwashing myself.
That's really good. Those are some really
And
good recommendations.
the strangest secret is I've listened to that over 50 times
Yeah.
just to get the subconscious learns through repetition.
Yeah.
I need to repeat, repeat, repeat.
Yeah.
And it will become a program and you'll start working that way. Like the old program, I'm not good enough. What will I ever achieve in life? If that's the program you have running, you'll start taking less uh, good care of yourself because, well, I wasn't worth it anyway. I was definitely not happy with being me.
Yeah.
But that's the awakening that I had right now. I'm glad being me. And I got a new program running and I can do things that I thought I would never could do.
Yeah. And I think that's honestly the takeaway from this podcast is and this is what I just talked to some of my friends is like if you think something is possible and if you speak it out, yes, but think 10 times bigger than that. That's what I say every time is like how
Mm-hmm.
and this is I think is a little bit of an American mindset as well sometimes is like this idea of like thinking big and thinking you can achieve anything. Not that other cultures don't have that, but I think it's just something that was ingrained in me. And this is the same just like with our conditions and stuff is like what if we and acknowledging that it's hard and that there's challenges, etc., and that the pain is real, the feelings, the disappointment, etc., is real. What if we took our dreams and our hopes and our desire for healthy bodies to and took that and we're like, let's magnify that by 10. Let's try to think big. And if we don't get there, that's fine. There'll be disappointment, but at least we will have tried, or at least we will have imagined a space where
It's
that was possible.
better to aim high and to have need a couple of shots than to aim low and have hitting one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, this conversation has been awesome. Thank you so much for joining me. I
Thank
loved
you for
having
having
this
me.
chat. Time flew by. I feel like this happens every time with we just end up having a chat about like really interesting things. So thanks again for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed it.